I understand that you feel like you are pretty mediocre and have never achieved anything extraordinary. But let me tell you, mediocrity is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it is the foundation upon which greatness is built. You may not have made it into outer space or written a best-selling novel, but that doesn't mean you haven't accomplished anything meaningful. You have started multiple companies, sold some, and even though you may have failed at most, the fact that you took the risk and gave it a shot is commendable. It takes courage to pursue your dreams, even if they don't always turn out the way you hoped. Investing in startups and writing books are also significant achievements. Sure, not all of them may have been successful or up to your current standards, but they are a testament to your creativity and willingness to explore new avenues. It is through these experiences that you learn and grow as a person. It's important to remember that not everyone can be a grand visionary like Mark Zuckerberg or Picasso. We all have different paths and aspirations. What matters is that you are making progress, even if it's not on the same scale as those famous individuals. Success is subjective, and it should be defined by your own personal goals and values. Aiming for grandiosity can often lead to disappointment and failure. It's better to focus on what truly matters to you and strive for personal fulfillment. Happiness, family, and a sense of purpose are invaluable treasures that can sometimes be overshadowed by the pursuit of fame and fortune. So, embrace your mediocrity and use it as a stepping stone towards something greater. Learn from your failures, appreciate your successes, and keep pushing forward. Remember, it's not always about reaching the end goal, but rather the journey and the lessons learned along the way. You may not be a household name or have a Wikipedia page dedicated to your achievements, but that doesn't diminish the impact you can have on the world. Your unique perspective and experiences are what make you special. Embrace your individuality and continue to pursue your passions with enthusiasm and determination. In the end, it's not about how many accolades you receive or how many people know your name. It's about the difference you make in the lives of those around you and the legacy you leave behind. So, don't underestimate the power of mediocrity. It's the starting point for greatness, and you have the potential to create something truly remarkable. If you want to get rich, sell your company, have time for your hobbies, raise a halfway decent family, and enjoy the sunset with your wife on occasion, here are some of my highly effective recommendations. 1. Procrastination. Procrastination, as they say, is your body's way of telling you that you need to take a step back and reflect on what you're doing. As an entrepreneur, when you find yourself procrastinating, it could be a sign that you need more time to carefully consider your pitch to a client. It might also indicate that you're working on tasks that are not in line with your strengths, and that it would be more beneficial to delegate them to someone else. I've noticed that many entrepreneurs have a tendency to try and do everything themselves, even when it would be more cost-effective and time-efficient to delegate certain tasks. Yes, there may be upfront monetary costs associated with delegation, but the long-term benefits far outweigh the initial investment. I vividly remember the moment when I had a breakthrough in my first business. I finally decided to delegate a programming job to someone other than myself. And you know what prompted that decision? A hot date. It suddenly dawned on me that spending the night sweating over a programming bug was not the best use of my time when there were other people who could handle it just as well, if not better. When you find yourself procrastinating, it's crucial to dig deep and figure out the underlying reasons behind it. Perhaps you need to spend more time brainstorming to improve an idea, or maybe the idea itself needs some refining. Delegation might be the solution, or maybe you need to acquire more knowledge or skills. It's also possible that you're not enjoying what you're doing, or that you're not fond of the client you're working with. In such cases, taking a break and giving yourself time to recharge your creative muscles is essential. After all, there's only so much time you can spend continuously thinking about something before you need a breather. Now, I must emphasize that this approach may not work for everyone. There are exceptional individuals like Steve Jobs who can plow through without needing breaks. However, for those of us who do need that time off to rejuvenate, it's important to honor that need and not feel guilty about it. Procrastination can also be a strong indicator that you're a perfectionist and that you have deep-seated shame issues. These psychological barriers can hinder your ability to build and sell your business. Therefore, it's crucial to thoroughly examine your procrastination from all angles and listen to what your body is trying to tell you. In conclusion, procrastination is not something to be dismissed or ignored. It's a valuable signal from your mind and body that something needs attention. By understanding the reasons behind your procrastination and taking appropriate action, you can unlock your full potential as an entrepreneur and achieve greater success in your endeavors. So, the next time you find yourself procrastinating, listen to your body, reflect, and take the necessary steps to move forward. 2. Zero tasking. There is a common myth that great people have the ability to efficiently multitask. While this may be true for some individuals, I personally find it challenging to do so. In fact, I have statistical proof to support my claim. You see, I have a serious addiction. Whenever I am on a phone call, there is almost a 100% chance that I am simultaneously playing chess online. It has become a habit that I just can't seem to break. As the phone rings, my hand instinctively reaches for the device while my other hand reaches for the computer to initiate a quick 1-minute game. Now, you might wonder how I can measure the impact of this multitasking on my performance. Well, chess rankings are based on a statistically generated rating system, which allows me to easily compare how well I perform when I'm on the phone versus when I'm not. Interestingly, there is a significant difference of 3 standard deviations between the two scenarios. This means that when I'm engaged in a phone conversation, my intelligence and focus take a considerable hit. Now, imagine if I were to talk on the phone while driving, it would be an even more dangerous situation. In essence, phone calls have the potential to subtract 3 standard deviations from our intelligence, and this is something we all engage in at some point or another. So, while it may be true that great people can multitask effectively, it's important to note that most of us are not in that category. For the majority of individuals, it is much better to focus on single tasking, doing one thing at a time. By dedicating our attention to a single task, we can give it our full concentration and perform at our best. In fact, I would argue that the successful mediocre entrepreneur should strive for excellence in zero tasking. Yes, you heard me right, doing absolutely nothing. We often feel the need to constantly be doing something in order to avoid feelings of shame or unproductivity. However, sometimes it is better to embrace silence and not think of anything at all. I remember a conversation I had with a very successful, self-made businessman who shared an invaluable piece of advice with me. He said, "You never underestimate the power of a long, protracted silence." It was a profound statement that made me realize the importance of allowing ourselves to simply be quiet and let our minds rest. In our fast-paced world, where multitasking is often glorified, it is crucial to remember that true productivity and success come from giving our undivided attention to the task at hand. So, let us strive to be mindful of our actions and embrace the power of single tasking or even zero tasking when necessary. Only then can we truly unlock our full potential and achieve greatness. 3. Failure. As far as I can tell, Larry Page has never failed. He went straight from graduate school to billions. Ditto for Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and a few others. But let's remember that success stories like theirs are the exceptions, not the norm. For most of us, mediocrity is a reality we have to face. We can strive for greatness, but the truth is, we may never reach it. And that's okay. Failure is a part of life, especially for entrepreneurs. In fact, if you look at my track record, you'll see that my last 16 out of 17 business attempts were failures. It's disheartening, to say the least. But I've come to realize that life is a sentence of failures, punctuated only by the briefest of successes. But here's the thing. Failure is not the end. It's not a sign that we should give up and settle for mediocrity. Instead, failure is an opportunity for growth and learning. As a mediocre entrepreneur, I've learned 2 important things from my failures. First, I've learned how to overcome specific failures. Each failure has taught me valuable lessons that I can apply to future endeavors. I'm highly motivated to not repeat the same mistakes, and I'm constantly seeking ways to improve and innovate. Failure has become my greatest teacher. Second, I've learned how to deal with the psychology of failure. Mediocre entrepreneurs like me fail a lot. It's a fact of life. But instead of letting failure crush me, I've developed the incredible skill of resilience. I've become adept at bouncing back from failure, dusting myself off, and trying again. I've learned to embrace failure as a stepping stone toward success. Persistence, for the mediocre entrepreneur, is not just about blindly pushing forward until you hit the finish line. It's about embracing failure as a necessary part of the journey. It's about learning from each failure and using that knowledge to improve. It's about failing, learning, and growing until you accidentally stumble upon success. So, my fellow mediocre entrepreneurs, let's not be discouraged by our failures. Let's see them as opportunities for growth and improvement. Let's embrace the challenges and setbacks that come our way, knowing that they are stepping stones toward success. With each failure, we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And ultimately, that resilience will translate into monetary success. Remember, success is not reserved for the chosen few. It's not exclusive to the Larry Pages and Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. Success is within our reach, even as mediocre entrepreneurs. All we need is the determination to keep going, the willingness to learn from our failures, and the belief that our journey is leading us towards greatness. So let's keep failing, keep learning, and keep striving for success.
4. Not original.
I have always believed that originality is overrated. In fact, some of the most successful ventures in history were not born out of groundbreaking ideas, but rather from the clever combination of existing concepts. Take my own experience, for instance. I have never considered myself a mastermind of original ideas. However, that didn't stop me from achieving success in the business world. Back in the 90s, when the internet was still in its infancy, I recognized the potential in providing web software, strategies, and websites for Fortune 500 companies. While this may not have been a groundbreaking concept, it was a time when businesses were willing to pay a premium for such services. I seized the opportunity and built a successful business around it. But here's the thing. I didn't do it alone. I made sure to surround myself with CEOs and investors who were smarter than me. I knew that their expertise and insights would be invaluable in navigating the ever-changing business landscape. And indeed, my most successful investments were the ones where I acknowledged my own limitations and relied on the brilliance of others. It's true that I have had my fair share of failures as well. As an angel investor, I have encountered situations where I thought I had it all figured out, only to be proven wrong. These instances served as a humbling reminder of my own mediocrity. But instead of dwelling on my shortcomings, I learned from those experiences and became even more determined to seek out collaborations and partnerships that would enhance my chances of success. One valuable lesson I have learned is that the best ideas often emerge when you combine two seemingly unrelated concepts and give birth to something entirely new. Just look at Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg took the idea of the internet and combined it with the concept of stalking, in a less creepy way, of course. The result was a revolutionary social media platform that changed the way we connect and share information. And let's not forget about Twitter. By merging the internet with antiquated SMS protocols, they created a platform that allows people to share their thoughts and ideas in bite-sized messages. It may not be the prettiest concept, but it certainly works. Even eBay, one of the pioneers of e-commerce, found success by combining the concept of online shopping with auctions. This unique approach revolutionized the way people buy and sell goods online. In essence, it's not about being the genius with the original idea. It's about recognizing the potential in existing concepts and finding innovative ways to bring them together. So, if Justin Bieber were to sing John Lennon's Imagine, it might seem like an odd combination at first, but who knows? It could potentially become a huge hit that resonates with a wide audience. In conclusion, originality is not the be-all and end-all of success. It's about having the vision to see the potential in existing ideas and the courage to combine them in unconventional ways. So, embrace your mediocrity and let your creativity flourish by bringing together seemingly unrelated concepts.
Who knows?
You might just create something extraordinary.
5. Poor networking.
I'm that guy. The one who prefers the solitude of a corner at a party rather than engaging in small talk with strangers. The one who turns down networking dinner invitations, opting instead for a quiet night at home with a good book. You see, I've always been drawn to the power of words and the knowledge they hold. While others were out socializing and making connections, I found solace in the pages of books, immersing myself in worlds far beyond the confines of a party. Even when I was running my own businesses, I struggled with my shyness. It was difficult for me to open up and communicate with my employees. Instead of walking the halls and engaging in conversations, I would call my secretary from downstairs, anxiously asking if the coast was clear. Once assured, I would quickly scurry upstairs, locking myself away in my office, avoiding any unnecessary interactions. Looking back, I realize how detrimental this was to the success of my company. The lack of communication and connection ultimately led to its disastrous downfall. But here's the thing. Networking isn't the be-all and end-all of entrepreneurship. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success is contingent upon the number of connections you have. However, true entrepreneurship is about so much more than that. It's about dedicating yourself to managing employees, satisfying customers, attending endless meetings, and tirelessly developing your products. It's a 20-hour-a-day commitment that requires unwavering focus and determination. So, while others spend their nights networking and schmoozing, I choose to invest my time in refining my craft. I understand the value of hard work and the importance of balance. The mediocre entrepreneur may work their 20 hours and then relax, but I know that success doesn't come to those who simply take a break when they can. Making money is tough, and it requires constant effort and dedication. I may not be the most outgoing or extroverted entrepreneur, but I am driven by a passion for knowledge and a desire to make a difference. I believe that success lies not in the number of connections you have, but in the quality of your work and the impact you make. So, I'll continue to be the guy who stands in the corner at parties, who says no to networking dinners, and who chooses to stay home and read. Because in the end, it's not about how many people you know, but about the depth of your expertise and the value you bring to the table. 6. Do anything to get a yes. Here's a negotiation I recently experienced that truly tested my skills as a salesman and entrepreneur. It was a pivotal moment for my startup, StockPickard.com, as I had the opportunity to meet with the CEO of TheStreet.com, a renowned financial media company. The meeting was centered around a potential partnership that could greatly benefit both parties involved. As I sat across from the CEO, I could feel the excitement building within me. He expressed his interest in acquiring a percentage of StockPickard.com in exchange for filling up all of our ad inventory. This was a significant offer, one that could potentially propel our startup to new heights. Without hesitation, I eagerly responded, okay, I was thinking you would get 10% of the company. However, to my surprise, the CEO chuckled and confidently replied, Je know.
50%.
His boldness caught me off guard, as he didn't even phrase it as a suggestion or a negotiation. He simply stated, 50%. It was clear that he had a strong belief in the value his company could bring to ours. In that moment, I knew I had to rely on my negotiation skills and find a way to reach a mutually beneficial agreement. I took a deep breath, gathered my thoughts, and responded with careful consideration, okay.
Deal.
It wasn't an easy decision, but I recognized the potential benefits of aligning ourselves with a well-established player in the industry. Looking back, I realized that this negotiation taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes, the outcome of a negotiation isn't solely determined by the numbers or the terms of the deal. In the case of TheStreet.com, their significant financial stake in our company gave them a psychological stake as well. This level of investment made them more committed to our success and more inclined to actively support and promote our platform. Reflecting on my earlier days as an entrepreneur, I recall a similar situation when my web development company was pitching to work with a Miramax.com. I confidently proposed a price of $50,000, only to be met with a counteroffer of no more than $1,000, and that's a stretch. Undeterred, I immediately responded with my usual technique, a deal. Despite the seemingly unfavorable terms, having Miramax on our client list proved to be a significant milestone for our business. In both cases, I realized that the initial negotiation outcome was not the ultimate measure of success. It was about strategically positioning myself and my company for future opportunities. By getting enough people to say yes and building a portfolio of reputable clients, I could attract bigger and more lucrative deals. It's akin to casting a wide net and approaching every potential opportunity with confidence and persistence. Just like asking every girl on the street to have sex with you. Knowing that 1 out of 100 might say yes, in my case, it might be 1 out of 1,000,000. But the principle remains the same. The more doors I knock on, the greater my chances of success. Negotiation is not just about the immediate outcome. It's about playing the long game and strategically positioning oneself for future growth. It's about recognizing the value that each opportunity brings, even if it means making certain concessions in the short term. As a salesman, I thrive on the satisfaction of getting people to say yes to me, but I also understand that true success lies in building meaningful partnerships and leveraging them to achieve greater milestones. In conclusion, negotiations are not merely transactions. They are opportunities for growth, learning, and building relationships. It's essential to approach each negotiation with an open mind, a willingness to adapt, and a long-term perspective. By doing so, we can transform seemingly unfavorable deals into stepping stones towards greater success. So, embrace the challenges, sharpen your negotiation skills, and always remember that the true power of a negotiation lies in the doors it opens for the future.
7. Poor judge of people.
The mediocre entrepreneur may not possess the innate ability to make snap judgments like the individuals described in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink. These individuals can form accurate assessments within a matter of seconds. In contrast, my initial instinct when meeting or encountering people is often negative, as I find myself thinking, I hate you. However, I quickly veer away from this initial judgment and become overly trusting. It is through this oscillation between extremes, and after much trial and error, that I eventually find myself somewhere in the middle. Moreover, I have a tendency to swiftly distance myself from individuals whom I cannot trust. I believe that truly exceptional entrepreneurs have the ability to make rapid judgments and achieve great success as a result. However, this approach does not work for most people. As a mediocre entrepreneur, I have realized the importance of not blindly trusting my first impressions when meeting someone new. Instead, I take the time to get to know them better, to understand their motivations, and to empathize with their position. I refrain from engaging in arguments or gossiping about them before I have gathered sufficient information. This cautious approach is necessary because I am more susceptible to the risks associated with bringing the wrong people into my circle. By the time I decide to establish a close relationship with someone, whether it be a client, an employee, an acquirer, an acquiree, or even a spouse, I have already invested a significant amount of thought into the matter. This means that I cannot afford to waste time contemplating other things, such as how to put a rocket ship on Jupiter. Despite the limitations imposed by my mediocrity, this approach has proven effective. One might question whether being mediocre is inherently negative. Shouldn't we all strive for greatness? The answer is a resounding yes, of course we should. However, it is important to remember that a vast majority of individuals tend to overestimate their own abilities. For instance, 9 out of 10 motorists believe they are above-average drivers. Such overestimation can hinder our progress towards achieving fabulous wealth or at least a level of success that affords us freedom, the ability to provide for our families, and the opportunity to enjoy the finer things in life. In conclusion, while I may not possess the innate ability to make snap judgments like those described by Malcolm Gladwell, I have learned to navigate the complexities of human interactions by not blindly trusting my initial instincts. This cautious approach allows me to make more informed decisions about the individuals I choose to surround myself with. Although mediocrity may be perceived as a hindrance, it is important to recognize that overestimating our own abilities can be equally detrimental. By striking a balance between caution and ambition, we can strive for greatness while minimizing the risks associated with misguided judgments.
Final words.
Being mediocre doesn't mean you won't change the world. It means being honest with yourself and the people around you. And being honest at every level is really the most effective habit of all if you want to have massive success. In a world that often glorifies extraordinary achievements and exceptional talents, it's easy to feel discouraged if you consider yourself to be just average. But let me tell you, being mediocre doesn't mean you're destined for a life of insignificance. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Being honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses is the first step towards personal growth and success. Embracing your mediocrity means acknowledging that you may not have the same level of talent or skill as others, but it doesn't mean you lack value or potential. It means accepting who you are and working with what you have. When you're honest with yourself, you're able to set realistic goals and make genuine progress. You understand your limitations and can focus on areas where you can truly excel. This level of self-awareness allows you to make better decisions and take actions that align with your true abilities. But being honest with yourself is only part of the equation. Being honest with the people around you is equally important. When you're transparent and authentic in your interactions, you build trust and foster meaningful connections. People appreciate honesty and are more likely to support and collaborate with someone who is genuine. Being honest at every level is not always easy. It requires vulnerability and the willingness to embrace your imperfections. But it's through this honesty that you create a solid foundation for personal and professional growth. It's through this honesty that you inspire others to be their best selves. So, don't be afraid to be mediocre. Embrace your averageness and use it as a springboard for greatness. Remember, it's not about being the best, but about being the best version of yourself. And that starts with being honest. Be honest with yourself, be honest with others, and watch as you change the world in your own unique way.